doing, during the month of July, a farm listening tour for my campaign for U.S. Senate. I grew up in Ankeny, Iowa, and I did not grow up on a farm. And I want to learn agriculture, the business of agriculture, and hear from farmers and those that deal with agriculture as to what the important issues are, what their feelings on the Farm Bill that was pending in Washington, D.C., what their experiences with the EPA have been, and issues relating to water quality, issues about import and exports, just really listening to hear what's on the minds of people involved in agriculture. We had a nice discussion this morning. We were down at Stutzman's and Hills and had a really nice discussion about all those issues and some other issues, including just campaign mechanics and those types of things.
So what did you hear this morning as it related to farm issues and land issues?
Right. Well, I heard a lot about the challenges that farmers face, being a price taker both on input costs and price takers when it relates to the market when they sell and market their grains and livestock. I heard about the regulation of the industry and the challenges through the EPA and water quality and the waters in wells and those types of things. I heard a lot about import and export challenges regarding countries that block our trade or manipulate currencies and the like. So I heard a lot about the challenges and really some of the solutions, and just that farmers want to be good stewards of the land. They want to be good producers and do it ethically and consistent with passing their farms down to the next generation.
And then from that, have you had a chance to formulate those things into the next step as far as?
No, I haven't had a chance to really think about policy proposals at this time. Today is day one, and we're in Hills and then here in Mount Vernon, and we're going to go to Scott County, and we'll be in Dubuque County, and we'll be in Polk and Dallas and all around central Iowa, and then we'll be out in western Iowa and north central Iowa. So, I mean, this is going to be the month of July. We're going to be out just talking to Iowans involved in agriculture and hearing what's on their minds. And then I think we'll come up with some ideas and policy. I think one of the things I heard today loud and clear was related to the Farm Bill and how it really should have been described as a food stamp bill instead of a farm bill, because at least 80% of it involved the food stamp program that the Department of Agriculture runs. Very little was dedicated to actual agriculture, and that was the piece that relates to crop insurance. And I also, one of the things the farmers were talking about, and it spread generally across all industries and businesses, was just the overregulation, and by regulating and creating more regulations, that the government is causing small, whether it's farms, whether it's banks, whether it's manufacturers, to consolidate and putting more power into larger producers, and that caused some concern to family farmers as to the consolidation across all industries because of federal government regulation and the compliance costs that involves.
And then beyond, and I know this was specifically a listening tour for ag, but just being in the eastern Iowa, are there other issues that kind of came up, outside of the Des Moines area, outside of the Washington area, here around here specifically, either as you traveled or?
Right. Well, we've been in eastern Iowa a lot in the first month of this campaign, and we've talked to a lot of folks, and by and large, it is really a concern that the federal government is disconnected from regular people. And I hear that everywhere I go, and whether it's in agriculture, or whether it's in small businesses, or whether it's just families sitting around the kitchen table, they just feel like the federal government is not addressing the issues that should be addressed, and when they do address issues, they're not fixing them with a limited government approach. It is one size fits all, federal bureaucrats making rules and sending them out, and the rest of us being forced to comply with often complicated and troublesome things. I mean, you look at an issue like Obamacare and all the challenges that would face, and now with the wave of magic wand, they've postponed it, at least the employer mandate, beyond the next election. And so it's those types of things that there's a real desire among Iowans to get the federal government right-sized and put it in its proper perspective and place, and also a real desire to just let small businesses and entrepreneurs that create 7 out of every 10 jobs to compete without this wet blanket of the federal government and all its programs. That's what I'm hearing it by and large, really across all industries. Do you have any questions for me?
What's your take on the Farm Bill? A lot of Republicans were surprised that did not pass the House. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I've heard from a farmer this morning that was talking to me about just the business as usual in Washington, where they have to connect the food stamps issue to the crop insurance issue in order to get it to pass. Mm-hmm. And that's why they were doing it, and a real desire to split it into 2 separate bills. And really, and then on the heels of that, I would hear a lot about the troubling concerns of and I've heard the numbers 40, 50 million people, but there's a lot of 1 out of 7. There's a lot of people on food stamps right now. And that points to a lack of jobs, a lack of growth in our economy. And that's really what's underlying this whole thing is people want good paying jobs. I don't think most Americans have a desire to be dependent on the federal government to provide their food. I think they want to provide food for their families. And I think it's just that we have to address the real concerns about growth, job creation, and encouraging small businesses to start up and to succeed in the United States. And so, I mean, I think it's such a bigger issue than just food stamps and crop insurance. Mm-hmm. But farmers that I hear just didn't think it was a good bill as you looked at it in total.
You're one of 3 announced candidates for this. There's at least 3 other people who are seriously considering getting in. And somebody, to avoid it going to convention, somebody has to pass that 35% threshold. Right. How do you separate yourself from the pack?
Well, I think you just have to get out and talk to voters and hear what their concerns are and have them understand where you're coming from and why you think that your skill set, your resume, your experience best serves them in the United States Senate. Obviously, some of that is to see who's the most competitive against Representative Braley. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is until we know the entire field, nobody knows what's going to happen here. And so I am getting out and talking to Iowans and meeting them on their terms. I'm not going to sit in my home office and think big thoughts. I'm going to get out and talk to people and listen to them. And I think that's what Iowans want to hear. They want a representative in the U.S. Senate that listens to their concerns and can fight for the things that they believe in.
How hard is this traveling the state and meeting with small crowds, or in this case, no crowd? I mean, has it been difficult on you so far?
No, I'm enjoying it. I've done this before. I ran for state treasurer,
right.
and it really is exciting. It's one of those things that you never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to end up talking about, and I just think it makes you a better candidate. I also think it makes you someone that people see out there doing the hard work of putting together a campaign. And we make phone calls all the way up and all the way back, and so it's early. I don't think anybody but the real political diehards are paying attention right now. And if we look at races similar to this, it always appears to be sort of jumbled and uncertain a year out. But I think we'll put the hard work in now and into the future that will help us get across the threshold and build a real competitive campaign.